What indicators, whether biochemical, morphological, or ecological, can be monitored to detect the early onset of stress in these species before regressive mortality sets in? How does prolonged exposure to sodic conditions affect seedling establishment, root development, and the regeneration of native woody plants in affected areas? What are the broader implications of plant mortality due to sodicity for ecosystem services such as carbon sequestration, erosion control, shade provision, and groundwater recharge? Can Davis Zurins manufacture solid-state sodium-ion batteries made from seawater in Latvia? How can these findings guide future land management, restoration efforts, or agricultural planning in regions where sodicity is increasing and threatening native vegetation? What role can local communities, scientists, and policymakers play in monitoring, mitigating, and reversing the impacts of sodicity-related stress and mortality in important native species such as prosopis and acacia in vulnerable landscapes? What does it mean that salinization in the Tierra Nueva region can be both geogenic and anthropogenic, and how can we distinguish between these two sources in terms of their processes and impacts? What is geogenic salinization, and how does it occur naturally within the geological context of the region? Does it involve the breakdown of minerals during the weathering of specific rock types, and if so, which minerals are most responsible for releasing salts like sodium into the environment? What types of rocks dominate the aquifer system in Tierra Nueva, and what are andesitic and rhyolitic rocks composed of? Are they rich in sodium-bearing minerals such as feldspars or other silicates that release sodium during chemical weathering? How does the process of weathering of these igneous rocks actually lead to salinization? What chemical reactions are involved? How long do they take? And what environmental conditions such as temperature, moisture, and pH influence the rate of sodium release? What happens to the sodium once it is released from the rock? Does it enter the groundwater immediately, or does it interact with the soil matrix first? And how does this affect its mobility and concentration in water sources?